Welcome to New Season Academy, where we go beyond the textbook to uncover the stories, mysteries, and surprising moments that shaped our world. Let's step back in time. Have you ever wondered how people learned breaking news before television, before radio, before telephones, or even newspapers delivered to their front door? Today, if something important happens anywhere in the world, we know about it in seconds. A notification pops up on our phone. Someone posts it online. Breaking news spreads around the globe almost instantly. But in 1776, things were very different. Yesterday, we talked about the Continental Congress approving the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776. But here's something most people never think about. Almost nobody knew that it happened. On the morning of July 5th, thousands of people living in the 13 colonies woke up just like any other day. They went to work, tended their farms, opened their shops, completely unaware that they were now citizens of a brand new nation. So how did they find out? That's today's story. Imagine you're living in Virginia during the summer of 1776. You're a farmer. The sun comes up and you're already outside working. You know there's been fighting with Britain. You know tensions are high, but you have absolutely no idea that the leaders in Philadelphia have just changed the course of history. There were no televisions, no radios, no telephones, no internet, no text messages, not even reliable postal service like we have today. News traveled only as fast as a horse could run. Think about that for a minute. Today, we complain if our internet takes 5 seconds to load. Back then, people sometimes waited weeks to hear important news. Once Congress approved the Declaration, they faced a new problem. How do you tell an entire country? That responsibility fell to someone you've probably never even heard of. His name was John Dunlap. He wasn't a general. He wasn't a politician. He wasn't even one of the founding fathers. He was a printer. Late on the evening of July 4th, someone delivered that final copy of the Declaration to Dunlap's print shop. While most people in Philadelphia were asleep, John Dunlap went to work. Imagine the scene. A small room lit only by candles, the smell of fresh ink filling the air. Every tiny metal letter had to be picked up and placed into the printing press by hand. One mistake could ruin an entire page. It took incredible patience. Hour after hour, he worked through the night. By sunrise, America's most important document was ready. Historians believe John Dunlap printed about 200 copies of the Declaration that night. Today, only 26 are known to survive. And here's something incredible. One original Dunlap broadside sold for more than $8 million. Imagine that, a single piece of paper, printed overnight, now worth millions. Now imagine you're standing in the town square. Neighbors begin gathering. Children stop playing. Shopkeepers step outside. The local official slowly unfolds a piece of paper. The crowd falls silent. Then he begins to read. When in the course of human events, for the first time, you hear the words announcing that America is now independent. Can you imagine what it must have felt like? Would you have cheered? Would you have been afraid? Would you even believe it? Because declaring independence didn't mean the war was over. It meant it was only beginning. Britain still had one of the most powerful armies in the world. Freedom wasn't guaranteed. It still had to be won. Here's something that surprises almost everyone. Not everyone wanted independence. Historians estimate that roughly 1/3 of the colonists supported independence. Another third remained loyal to King George III. The final third simply hoped to stay out of the conflict altogether. Think about your own neighborhood. Imagine one house supporting independence, the house next door supporting Britain, and another family desperately trying not to choose sides. The American Revolution wasn't just a war between countries. For many families, it became a civil war between neighbors. One of the most famous public readings happened just a few days later in New York City. American soldiers gathered together. An officer stood before them and read the Declaration aloud. As they listened, the words carried across the crowd that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states. When the reading was finished, those men were no longer fighting as British subjects. They were fighting as Americans. Imagine how powerful that moment must have been. Many of those soldiers knew the British Army was already preparing to attack New York. Some would be dead within weeks. Yet in that moment, they stood together knowing that they were fighting for something entirely new. A new country, a new idea, and a new future. History books often make it seem like history happens all at once. One date, one event, one dramatic moment. But real history doesn't work that way. The Declaration wasn't broadcast across the colonies overnight. It spread one conversation, one newspaper, one horseback rider, and one town at a time. That's why July 5th is so fascinating. July 4th may be the day that Congress approved the Declaration, but July 5th was the day ordinary Americans began discovering that they were citizens of a brand new nation. So the next time someone says, America became independent on July 4th, remember, that was only the beginning. The real story unfolded over the days and weeks that followed as news slowly spread across the colonies. It all started with one determined printer, a few hundred copies, and a courageous set of writers carrying one of history's most important documents from town to town. If you had been standing in that town square, hearing the Declaration read aloud for the very first time, what do you think your reaction would have been? Would you have celebrated? Would you have been nervous? Or would you have wondered if the colonies had just made the biggest gamble in history? I'd love to hear what you think. Leave your answer in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more fascinating moments from history.